All right. Well, now this question is for everyone. What calorie counting apps are accessible and what fitness tracking apps are accessible?
Yeah, there's one that I've used with I'm a voiceover user. I believe it's accessible on Android as well. I may have to look at the link and maybe we can drop it in the video notes here
Yep.
if people would like that. But it was I think it was just called Calorie Counter, and there's quite a few of them out there. So that's why I think the link might be important. But I found it to be like 95% accessible. Like there was a few little areas where it wasn't labeled real well, but for the most part was super easy to use. And ironically enough, just coming off the protein conversation, the reason I was using it is because I'm one of those guys that like I can eat and eat and eat and not gain weight, and my clients hated me for it, right? But I exercise a lot. The reason I had it, my team nutritionist said we need to make sure you're getting enough protein, so I want you to start tracking what you're eating and how much and all that stuff. So that one seemed to be very accessible for me. So I'll dig around and find that link and share it with you.
No, that would be great. One that I found really accessible, whether you use the actual Fitbit or not, is the Fitbit app. In fact, Greg, when he was at the Sacramento Society for the Blind, he was part of a program that was sponsored at the time by the United States Association of Blind Athletes, where he was able to get lots of Fitbits for his consumers, and they were all using the Fitbit app to compete with each other of who got the most steps. And even if you don't have the Fitbit itself, the actual pedometer, you can still use the app to like count calories and log everything you eat. I found it very easy to use and very accessible. You can put in everything you eat. I mean, if you go to Starbucks and you get a latte, you can start writing like Starbucks latte, and it'll kind of fill it in for you with like all the information. So I thought the Fitbit app was very user friendly and easy to use, whether or not you actually have the pedometer itself. Lynn?
Yeah, so I'm a voiceover user. The one that a lot of my clients use is MyFitnessPal, but I do not know if it's accessible.
I've heard good things about MyFitnessPal too. And I don't know that I've heard about them from blind people, but I know a lot of just generally just friends who use MyFitnessPal. Greg?
Well, of course, I've used the Fitbit app and tracker as well, and they do seem to be accessible. When I saw this as one of the questions, I actually kind of giggled, and Tyler, maybe you can appreciate this. Being an athlete for as long as I was, I don't use a tracker because I know how my body feels when I'm doing the things I want to be doing for fitness or for health reasons. So I go more by how my body feels. Another thing I kind of say jokingly is I go by how my pants fit. I don't want to go buy new clothes. So if my pants are getting a little tight, I go in the gym. So I mean I have to admit I don't use a step tracker or an app to track my diet or anything like that. I just go by how my body feels.
I'd like to get your thoughts on this too, Lynn, because I agree with you, Greg. And one of the things that I've tried to highlight for my clients is like getting to that point of intuitive eating is the ultimate goal, to be able to know your body well enough and know how it'll respond to different foods and volumes of foods and timing of eating is really, really important. And I think a tracker is really valuable for a season, a portion of time to help you learn what food values really are. I think most people don't really understand, well, how many calories really are in a banana, or how much protein really is in an egg. So it's great for a season to really start learning those numbers. But I've very, very, very rarely come across people that I feel like should track on a regular basis.
Yeah, there is a personality type that
Mine.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Yeah, your
Stacy's the
type
exception.
that really likes to track everything. And I think if you're in that group, it's totally great. But I agree with you. For most people, it's not a continuous thing.
I don't know if it's because and again, we're all so different. And I don't know if it's more because I
Yes.
think of myself as more a head person than a body person, that I'm not as in tune with my body as maybe like Greg is, for example, where for me, having these calorie goals and having the tracker and having the accountability, like that really helps me. And when I don't have it, I have a harder time because some of it is that I make exceptions for myself. Like, well, if you don't log the vanilla latte, did you really have it? And like and then it's not showing up here in my calorie count. And I think some of it is just like you said, Lynn, I think it's just, according to Myers-Briggs, there's like 16 different personality types. If you subscribe to, we're all different. And for me,
Sure.
having that regiment and that I think it's the feedback, like having that, it's part of accountability, like having the accountability of that app telling me this is what you ate, this is how much. Like I need that, or else I fall off the wagon in a significant way. But I also know that many people don't need that. Many people find that even counterproductive, so
Yeah,
I think it's
and I
finding
think
what
that's
works for you.
where and I think that's where it's really important. Just you have to assess, does this become an obsessive behavior that eventually deters from my fitness, or does this actually help me? And that's an individual choice, right?
Well, and it's like when I talked about sending my nutrition coach, pictures of my plates. I mean, I know people said they would find that very triggering and very upsetting and shaming, where for me, I found it really like helpful. So I think it just depends on a lot of factors. Like it depends on you, it depends on the coach, it depends on the app,
Sure.
it depends on,
Yeah.
there's so many, like you kind of just have to do it and decide, like honestly with yourself, is this helping me or is it just,
And
a
that can
hindrance?
change. That can also change from season to season of life as well.
Definitely.
It may be right now, it's too inconvenient. I'm too busy to track. I'm going to
Yep.
try to eat a little more intuitively, where down the road, the kids are a little older, things are a little more settled, and maybe then it's appropriate. So it's okay to kind of do it as needed.